Hi, and welcome. I recently decided to have a rummage through and check out my old Pokemon cards back from, well, when would it have been? It would have been like early 2000s or so, when I would have been collecting them. That's when they were really a big craze and when everyone was buying them. And here I have, as you can see, although the camera's a bit zoomed in because of the angle that I'm sat at. Here you can see, this is basically a binder of Pokemon cards I've got. I recently went through and organised them all, put them in order, in set order, then numerical order, as much as I could. And I've got a few extra things at the end of this as well. Just a bit of a background, I used to share Pokemon cards with my brother when we collected them. I can't remember what my motivation was for doing that. I think it was mostly because he once got the starter set, which is the one with the shiny Machamp and the one where it's basically two half decks. He got that, and then we declared that we were going to share, so it kind of meant that I got more because it was originally his. And we decided to share, and then at a later date, at one point he decided that he wanted to have his own cards and I should have my own cards. And to be honest, looking back now, I think to myself, why would I have wanted to share? Why couldn't I just get my own? Sure, it means I won't have as much, but at least they'd be fully mine. Now, to point out, this isn't exactly half of the collection that we had. Few reasons for that. Reason number one is that there was one time where I had a thing like a little book full of cards and it got stolen. There was a couple of people, a couple of kids who basically stole it. Well, they stole all the cards out of it. They left the thing behind itself, but they stole all the cards out of it. Or almost all the cards out of it. So when I say that I used to have certain cards, you kind of have to just take my word for it, if you know what I mean. I can't prove things. Not that I'd really have any motivation to make anything up. That was one reason. Another reason is that we had loads of cards in, just stashed away, in a shoebox somewhere, full of, energy cards and all common cards and stuff. And I really only used that booklet mostly for the better and the rarer ones. And my misconceptions as a kid was that I had this idea where that if something was from a newer set, it was therefore better. And I don't know where that idea came from, and I'm not sure if that idea was exclusive to me, but there was always this idea that something newer was better. Of course, if you're looking back now, if you look at the price of a first edition mint condition Charizard, then that completely changes the whole thing. But this was the idea that I had at the time. Another reason is that when we did split them out, with me being the older sibling, I pretty much got to decide who got what cards, and that basically means that whilst my brother ended up with maybe more, maybe as much cards, I'm not sure, I definitely got the better ones, which is why in here you'll only find, say, mostly rares and not as many commons. Well, there are quite a few commons, but not so many commons. Very, very few energy cards in here. Is there anything else that I need to mention about this? Just trying to rack my brains to see if there is. But anyway, I'll go through this step by step, and if I've got a story to tell, I will tell a story. I don't think there's anything else to really justify why there's so many cards in here and what cards there are here. But before that, I'm going to tell a bit of a story about this binder itself. You'll notice all these shiny Pokemon stickers on. and they're all from the first generation. So, you know, you got Venusaur, Nidoking, and Pidgeot. That is Pidgeot, isn't it? I'm sure Pidgeot looks like that, not Pidgeotto. And on the back, I've got just the names, because you see there's some names here, which I don't know if you can read. Quality probably isn't that good. But that says Ivysaur, that says Nidoran, that says Ekans. Yeah, quality isn't that great, but maybe if I zoom in. No, that does not make it better at all. So yeah, the reason and the way that I got all these stickers was because one of the friends of the family recently got them as a present for me, I think. Or maybe both me and my brother, I can't so much remember. But definitely at least me. I'm sure, I mean, this is definitely not half of them. This is like less than half of them, so I'm sure there's still like a lot more. I think there was like a Pokemon one for every name one that what there was. There was like for example, it says Weedle there, and there isn't a Weedle sticker here. I did actually use up some of these stickers. There was ones that I used on my on my Game Boy cartridges. So there was one of like Charmander and Charizard that I used on Pokemon Red, the Game Boy cartridge, and there was a Pikachu one I used for Pokemon Yellow. And I think I used a Raichu one for that as well. And I think there was a what was it? A Squirtle and a Blastoise one for Pokemon Blue. Which I might be able to dig those up if I can find them. I think I know where they are. Yeah, I still have those. Also, there's quite a bit of sellotape on this, which is actually just reason I just recently put that on after seeing it, because, I mean, it's falling apart. Don't know if you can see there, which I'm totally aiming at the wrong thing with the camera, because I need to check through the camera, not check through my eyes, if that makes any sense. There's quite a bit of sellotape here and there because, well, like I said, it's falling apart. And I've just noticed there's a few lines that go across there like that. I'm not sure why that is. Look like black crayon or whatever. Well, I've rambled on long enough. Let's get starting. Let's get starting? I need to talk properly. Let's get started. 8 minutes into the video. Okay, the light is in a pretty weird position, but this is what I could basically do. I've ordered them in order of number, as much as I can. So I'm not going to go through and name them all because you can pretty much see. I did actually used to have 3 shiny Charizards. I don't know, maybe they got stolen as well. I'm not sure. But there is a story about the Charizards. I once traded a shiny Charizard for multiple shiny cards. There was one Kangaskhan, I think, one Pinsir, Kangaskhan, Pinsir, and Gyarados, I think. How old that was? You know, I must have been about 10 or so at the time, because everyone made a big deal of Charizard, and as far as I could tell, it was just because, well, the thing is, I actually knew how to play the game, so I actually knew that Charizard wasn't that good game-wise, so that's how I thought of it. Also, there's a story about Chansey. This is going to take a long time, I'm thinking. Sorry about the Chansey. I'm not sure if this is the same Chansey. It might be. Actually, I'll pull it out, see if it is. I don't think it is. Or it might be. No, it's in too good of a condition to be. But I once had a Chansey that had gotten... I don't remember how it gotten like wet on the side, so it kind of like got like wrinkly and stuff. Someone stole that from me. Yeah, I know it sounds like I got all my cards stolen, doesn't it? But yeah, someone stole that from me, and I kind of got him to give me it back. after not flat out saying you stole it from me, but rather saying, it's strange how my Chansey, someone must have given it to you. I would like it back. You know, something like that. Right, not much to say apart from two Machamps from the base set starter pack thing. So continuing on with the holographics here. I noticed that I am missing quite a few, not just holographics, but I'm missing quite a few, like, common cards. These are the rare, moving on to the rares, and then onto the uncommons. I know there's quite a few uncommon and just common cards that I'm missing, and maybe there's just the ones that I give away or left behind somewhere. I mean, just things like Kakuna and Bulbasaur. I specifically remember Farfetch'd. One of the things I specifically remember about Farfetch'd is the attack Leak Slap, where it's the only attack that I remember where you can literally only use it once. It's limited to the amount of uses. Which I found quite strange. And Leak Slap and Pot Smash, they sounded like very far-fetched. What's the word I'm looking for? They seemed very suitable for a Farfetch'd to have. Porygon Conversion 1, Conversion 2. Yeah, I never really used Porygon. Also, Raticate, something that I always found interesting about Raticate is that it's the only Pokemon I can think of where it has an ability that does a question mark of damage, rather than, say, a flat out number with a multiplication or an addition or a subtraction. Which is quite unusual. I think there is another Raticate that also has that same thing. Also, I also found it weird that Onix was a common, as opposed to, you know, at least being uncommon, because I always thought of Onix as really powerful. Yeah. I always really liked Rattata as well, for the pure sake that you could do 20 damage with a colourless energy, and there wasn't really any other Pokemon that could do that. I mean, overall, Rattata only has 30 health, so it's not really all that good anyway. And here I've actually had to put the two different Staryus into the two different pockets because it just got so big and thick on the top of this one here that I just couldn't fit them all in without risking breaking the connected thing there. Also, this Vulpix is interesting because it's got the error, which is HP 50 rather than saying 50 HP. And now the base set trainer cards, so the main particular trainer cards that I really liked using. There is one that I can think of that I will get to eventually. But I can't really remember any specific. I mean, trainer cards I always really liked because, you know, you could just keep using them. I mean, recently they've got like support cards where you can use them once per turn or something like that. So they've limited it a lot more now. I mean, that's what I know. I've not really played much. I haven't really played recently, so I wouldn't know. Defenders. I always liked Defenders and Plus Powers because they were. Especially if you got a Pokemon that was really strong and really powerful and you needed to keep them alive, then Defenders were just the way to go. Maintenance. Yeah. Plus power. Pokemon Center. Again, another trainer card that I don't really remember using. Poker Flute. Now, this is one that I never really understood when I was younger, when I got it at the time. I just did not get it. But now it kind of makes more sense. Basically, you have to take one of your opponent's Pokemon in their discard piles, or one that's been knocked out, and basically bring it back to their bench. And I understand now that, well, the reason you'd want to do that is to make an easy target, so that you can get prizes faster. Pokedex, make good use of that. And Professor Oak is also quite useful if you are running low on cards. although you discard your hand, so the only problem with that is that you don't use it too much because you don't want to run out of your deck. You don't want your deck to run out because then you'll lose. Revive. Kind of like Poker Flute, but for yourself. Super Potion. Bill. Now, this card is so good. I made so much use of this card. It is simple. Draw 2 cards. It's just that simple, but it's really good. And apparently Gust of Wind is really good. Like, looking back, it's like really effective, but I'm not so sure. Potion, which is like a weaker super potion, but there's less. You don't have to cost any energy cards for that. Switch, which is like Gust of Wind, but for yourself. And then we have the energy cards. Double colourless. Now there's about 4 of these in here. Now I remember with the base set, for some reason I was always after the double colourless energy, and I very rarely got them. It was ages before I actually got a double colourless energy. Basically it's like 2 energy cards, but it only counts for colourless, whereas any other energy card counts for itself and colourless. And here I have the basic energy, just like 1 of each, apart from fighting, which I don't have. Onto the jungle set now, starting with the holographics. That is what you say, isn't it? Holographic. Yeah, Jolteon, Kangaskhan. I always liked Kangaskhan because of fetch. I always really liked fetch. And then Comet Punch was also useful once you could get enough energy for that. 2 double colourless energies, if you could get that, I would build that up fast. So the great thing about colourless energy is that it works really well for colourless Pokemon. But of course the only real problem with colourless Pokemon is that, well, they don't specialise in anything, so their attacks aren't that strong overall, and, well, they don't tend to be. And they can't exploit weaknesses. Unless you're talking about... No, you can't even with Porygon. I was making a mistake there. Pidgeot. Pinsir. Now, I always really like this card. I specifically remember also using it in the Game Boy Color game. Just the Guillotine for 50 damage. It's always really useful. Snorlax. I don't actually think Snorlax is all that great, really. Well, I suppose he's got a lot of health, that's a big thing, and he's immune to the status effects. But 4 energies for 30 damage, even with paralysis? I'm not so sure. And a retreat cost of 4 as well. And there's... yeah. With the Vaporeon, Venomoth, who can change his own element, depending on what else you've got on your bench. Victory Bell, Clefable. Now, Clefable, I always really liked Metronome, because just one energy card, you can copy one of your opponent's attacks. That's really good. So, one energy card, you can use one of your opponent's attacks. And if you're fighting, say, I don't know, Charizard or Blastoise, that's just insane. For 1 energy. Clefable can't be that good, though, surely. There must be some drawback. Electrode. Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime with a Pokemon power that prevents all damage if it's done over 30. Which... I remember someone said that he wanted to play a game for keeps where it's kind of like where you kind of don't follow the rules of the game, you just choose an attack to use or something on your opponent or whatever. And he said, I'll play for keeps my Mr. Mime against your Charizard. And I was like, no, because my Charizard can't hurt it because of its invisible wall power. thing. And then we have this picture, which I'm sure is fake because, well, for one, the colour's all faded. And for two, it doesn't have the jungle symbol. I'm pretty sure that's fake. Now we should get back to the rares, which are non-holo, which is kind of like, well, unlike base, because basically what happened in base set is that you got the ones that were holos, and then you got the ones that weren't. But whereas in, like, from that point onwards, all the rares could be holos or not. So they kind of changed it after that. Oh, Mankey with the peep power, where you can see, you can, like, choose to have a look at something one by one. Another card, which is this Meowth, which allows you to possibly draw more cards. I've always been attracted to the ones that allow you to draw cards. I'm not an expert, so I can't actually say that's a really good thing to do, but I just always liked them. Oh yeah, now we're going on to the fossil set. Which is basically the last set that I really started collecting for. I mean, I've got more, but this is the one where the last set where I really stopped buying them, I think. And then you got the Muck with the Pokemon power that blocks all Pokemon powers. So that's brilliant against Ditto, leaves it unable to do anything. Yeah, that Ditto there, it only has a Pokemon power, which is to copy all of its opponent's attacks. We have a Dragonite that can come in regardless of the other Pokemon's retreat cost, and Haunter that actually has some evasion to attacks. And so I find this cluster quite interesting because I can't think of, or I don't really know many Pokemon whereby it has two separate attacks that require the same amount and same types of energy. I mean, I know there are others, but this is the first one I really specifically remember. And Golduck, although not this Golduck specifically, there is also I think it was Execute from the Jungle set. That card was basically my first experience of a card with an attack that requires an energy that's different to the type of the Pokemon that it is, which is quite strange, and it was a new thing at the time. You have this Golem that requires just obscene amount of energy. I mean, 3 fighting and a colourless, and 4 fighting. I'm not sure if this is a fake or not, because, well, it is holographic, and it is uncommon, which is, well, uncommon to say the least. I don't actually recall that ever being the case, but, they might have done that, I'm not so sure. It looks real enough. This Geodude, yes. The only Pokemon that I know of that can theoretically deal an infinite amount of damage because you just keep flipping a coin until you get a tails. Of course, on average, you'll only get one or maybe two, but it theoretically can do a loads. Ah yes, this Omanite, where your opponent has to play with their hand faced up so you're actually able to see their cards. I remember using that. Shelled only requires one water for both of them. Which is the unevolved stage of Cloyster, which only requires 2 for each, so that's interesting. And Tentacle, who has the power to go back into your hand at any point during your turn. But that always confused me because I just think, well, would you keep the damage on it? And if so, how? You can't exactly hold in your hand with the damage counters on it. Now this Gambler card, I don't understand. Shuffle your hand into your deck, flip a coin, if heads draw 8 cards, if tails draw 1 card. That doesn't really seem worth the risk to me. I mean, maybe... usually I just do Professor Oak, even though it's supposedly Professor Oak. Don't you have to discard the cards? Yeah. We have Recycle with a sad Jigglypuff. I don't know why the Jigglypuff is sad. Oh, it's because you're damaged. Oh, poor Jigglypuff. Then we go on to second edition set, which is like a mix of the early sets. So we have Pinsir and another second edition one. And then we have this, which is actually... there was a name for this. I'll just move them around. There was a name for this, but I don't actually remember what it was, because I remember there was these cards, which were fate cards. I'll just pull that out. And as you can see, it's kind of like fully reflective. And you can see me holding the camera. But there was a name for it that people use, and I can't remember. And the only place I've ever seen these is when people have traded them with me, or people have traded them, like other people having them. I didn't see them in shops. But there was one time when I think I was in... Okay, this is hard. I can't really put this in with just one hand. I'll try it with my right hand. There was one time in Mallorca, I think it was, where they were actually selling like a big pack of those. Yeah. Dark Arbok. This is the Rocket set where everything is like dark something. So Dark Hypno. Here comes Team Rocket. Yeah, the trainer card where you have to play with your prizes faced up. I can't think of why you would specifically want to use that in your deck. Maybe if you're really really far behind in prizes, and so you've got more choice or something, or it helps you more, I don't know, but it still doesn't seem like that big. Rainbow Energy. I was a big fan of Rainbow Energy, not so much in using it, but I just really like the concept and just how it looked. I mean, how cool does that look? It basically works as one of any type of energy, but it damages you by 10 if you use it. If you attach it. Here we have another uncommon, which is also holographic, and one reason I do think that this might be fake is because it's numbered incorrectly. It says number 15, but it can't be number 15. Here Comes Team Rocket is number 15. Dark Dragonair, which also looks fake. It says first edition. It's a first edition one as well. Hey, that's interesting. A Golduck, a darker Golduck, but a Golduck that is a water type, but doesn't have any attacks that use water energy, and does have attacks that use psychic energy. So maybe if you have a psychic deck, you could use Golduck to expose alternate weaknesses, maybe? Dark Kadabra, Dark Muck, who also has a Pokemon power that increases your opponent's retreat cost. Dark Primeape, which I'm also sure is pretty fake, because it looks fake to me. You know, I've got all these Rocket cards, but I don't actually remember getting them, mostly. Yeah, another one of those weird shiny cards. And Coughing is kind of the same, but not exactly. I've also kept 3 spaces for me out because there's that kind of weird shiny one, and there's this first edition one, and then there's this. The first edition one's also shiny, and then there's this regular one. I remember there was a Slowpoke, kind of, it might have been Fossil Set, whereby it's one of those Pokemon that can't actually deal any damage. I noticed in the later sets that the trainer cards tend to have a lot more text, whereas in the base set it's like just basic. But then like in the later ones, I mean, I'm sure there'll be one coming up soon where it's like loads of text. I've also got 2 The Boss's Way, because one of them is first edition, like the previous one's first edition. But this challenge, it's got this whole thing about you and your opponent have to agree to do something, and then you challenge each other to this thing or whatever. So yeah, the trainer cards, also 2 here because this one's first edition and this one's not. Same first edition, Nightly Garbage Run, and not. And then we go up to the special energy cards that aren't hollow, so the Rainbow Energy, Full Heal Energy, and Potion Energy. I suppose if you've got just a deck full of colourless Pokemon, you could really make use of these and the double colourless. You know, just really stock up on them. Of course, you can only allow 4 in a deck. And then you've got the Dark Raichu, which is the extra hidden one, and this is also a first edition one. And this is the Gym. Is it Gym Heroes first and then Gym Challenge after that? I think it is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this bit here was like right at the end of me getting the card, so I'm really not sure as to how I got these, because I'm sure I never bought any of the booster packs. I'm pretty sure that's the case, but I seem to have. Maybe it's because I valued them more because, you know, they were newer. So it's always like Misty's Goldeen, Blaine's Magmar, Erica's Execute, Lieutenant Surge's Eradicate, which is again another Eradicate with a question mark attack. It's the same attack, but only for 1 energy card. Yes. Oh yeah, this is where the stadium card. This is the first made the stadium card, so no removal gym. So it's like the stadium card is where you put them in, and they stay in effect until someone else puts a different stadium card. So like this one prevents energy removal. Yeah, a player must discard 2 cards from his or her hand in order to play an energy removal or super energy removal card. Yeah, like Cerulean Gym, Good Manners, Misty's Wrath. From what I found, even though I don't seem to have them, there was quite a few terrible trainer cards in the Rocket set that just made you, like, give up so much for just pointless things. I found this interesting. Misty's Duel tells you to play a game of rock, paper, scissors. What? I mean, the rest of the game tells you to flip a coin, so why can't this just make you flip a coin as well? And then Blaine's Ninetales. This is the second gym set. Which again, at the time I had no idea. Now this is interesting. This is where we get into the promo cards, the promotional ones where you basically have to do something to get them. Now, this one says Kids WB presents Pokemon the first movie, so these next 3 would have been from that. So there's Electabuzz, Mewtwo, and Pikachu. You would have got a random. Oh yes, and also this Dragonite here. Okay. I don't know what this Arcanine's from. I don't know. Then we have this Mew, which again I don't know where that's from. But funny story about this Mew. There was one time where I went. I was with like a kids group, like over the summer holidays, and there was one time where we went canoeing, and I did not trust anyone with my Pokemon cards, so I demanded that I took them with me. So I had the cards in my pocket whilst in a canoe. Yeah, probably a bad idea. But you can tell just around the outside it's been a bit wet, but I don't know where this one came from. I mean, you would have thought it would be in the first movie because it's Mew, but no, it isn't. Then we have Meowth. Now I remember where this is from. This is from the Game Boy Color game. It came with that. Then we have Articuno. That would have been from the second movie. And Zapdos, that would have also been from the second movie. And I'm sure I did have a Moltres that was also from the second movie. But I think I traded it for something. But, I mean, looking back now, if I found out what it was, I'd probably, regret it. But I don't actually know what it was. And then here we have, like, basically miscellaneous Japanese cards that I have no idea how I got. So here's a, I'm presuming it's Dark Slowbro, it's Team Rocket, and it's a Slowbro. Dark Jolteon. Again, it's a Rocket. Then we have this weird Rattata, which is just, what is it? Okay, I have no idea how I got this, but I did somehow, and it was like, I don't know, it's just obviously fake. And it's got the Japanese back cover there. It's just, I don't know what's, like, I don't know why that was, like that. Sabrina's Slowpoke, Sabrina's Drowsy, Brock's Geodude. Yeah, and the only Pokemon I have from the second generation are ones in Japanese. Maybe it's because at the time these were only out in Japan. I don't know anything about the sets from this point on, really. We've got Cyndaquil, Electabuzz, Quilava, and Wobbuffet, is it? Wobbuffet. I always say Wobbuffet, that just sounds more natural to me. Also interesting to point out is that these Japanese cards were the first ones to actually display the energy cost all in one row. Then we've got something interesting. We've got this giant card here called Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos. 120 HP. Okay. Multiple attacks. Well, no, one attack with multiple energy card. Right? It says on the back of the card, because there's another one here, it says, not for player use. And you'd think, well, like, who would have thought that you could play this, in a game? And consider this. Okay. Big Bang. Shuffle Articuno, Moltres, and Zapdos into your deck. Now, how would you possibly shuffle this card into your deck? How would you even shuffle this card when it's in your deck to begin with? I don't know. I think one of my relatives got us these for Christmas once. From, like, I don't know, bought them either online or something. It was ages ago. I don't remember. Well, kind of remember some weird things. Anyway, here we have a Weedle. And here we have Ancient Mew, which we did have 3 of these, but now I've only got 1. Then we have these Legendary Birds note thing that came with the promo cards. This, I think, came with the trading card game on the Game Boy Color, and this did as well, because this is basically a translation of the Meowth card in French, and on the other side, I think it's either German or Spanish, I can't remember. And then we have some weird cards, which I don't understand. This, and this. I have no idea where they are from, I have no idea how we have them, but I do, and they're there. Then we go on to Digimon cards. Now, I know nothing about Digimon cards. I got some of the cards, but I have no idea how to play, and I have no idea of the ordering, so I've just gone by the number in the corner. Yeah. So, again, and there's a shiny, what's that called? Saberleomon? And see, Force FX, I don't know, are they like the equivalent of energy cards or something similar to that? Well, it's like everything seems to be based around yellow, red, and green, and then you have these Digivices. So that I'm guessing is to make them Digivolve depending on the colours. That one's green and yellow, don't know what that means exactly. Yellow. And Myotismon, who I think was my favourite Digimon. Isn't he the one that goes Crimson Lightning? Now we have miscellaneous Duel Masters cards. Now I'll explain how I got these. I've never watched Duel Masters, I've never played Duel Masters, I know nothing about Duel Masters other than on Amazon I was once able to get a copy of Duel Masters for 17 pence, and I got it with a bunch of other random PS2 games, and so I just chose that one and I got a bunch of cards with it. So here I have a few, if I can turn the page, Duel Masters cards that I have zero understanding of what they are and how they work. And here's an advertisement for coming fall 2004 something. And then we have a blank, one of those wallets from W.H. Smith. So that's like that. And close. So that's everything from this binder of Pokemon cards. Oh, camera just cut on me. Anyway, I'm just about finished anyway. I was just saying that that's it. That's the binder of old Pokemon cards and a few Digimon cards and a few of the other Duel Masters cards. Basically just reliving the past, going through and, you know, living the memory. Is that a saying, live in the memory? You know what I mean. I'll see you all next time.